Good morning. Good morning. This is Charles Coachman, and we are preparing to walk our way through the Bible, read our way through Proverbs, dig in deep into the book of Acts, and as always, put on the whole armor of God. Well, I am late this morning. I got ready to get everything go on, and all of a sudden heard some noise in the kitchen, and it was our cat. It was Mr. Tux getting ready to do some damage, but he was walking on the stove and setting buttons on, and you got to get out there and check those because you don't know what he might turn on. And so I had to get out of here. All right. Hey, let's take a quick look and talk about our birthday shout outs. First one is a lady that I work with out of Keller Williams, Silicon Valley, and that is Jeanette Finetti. Jeanette has been a realtor here. Now I believe it's 3 years. So Jeanette, happy birthday to you. Wishing you all the best on your special day. And then we have Greg Marshall. Greg is out of Grand Junction, Colorado. He served in the Marines. Now he's acting as a Marine recruiter. I met him because we're part of some real estate groups, and he is a former realtor. So, Greg, happy birthday to you. Wishing you all the best on your special day. And always look up to the Marines. I was supposed to be a Marine coming straight out of high school, but unfortunately, didn't make it. Didn't cut the mustard. So, Greg, happy birthday to you. Jeanette, happy birthday to you. And if it's your birthday out there, happy birthday to you. God bless you all and enjoy your day. All right. I'd like to go ahead and talk about our folks. I haven't heard about Weldon in quite a while, so I need to follow up on him. But Weldon, Curtis, Rex, Danny, Red, I don't see any updates on him, but going through his recovery from a severe surgery yesterday. And so, Red, thoughts and prayers with you. My friend, dear friend, Shelly Elliott, Nancy, Rosalie, Jenny Van Pelt, who is going in for some tests today. And her and her husband, Mike, are on my mind. They are getting ready to move to Texas and feeling a bit of stress about doing some things. So today I'll be spending some time with them to help relieve them of some of their anxiety over this move. But Jenny, thinking about you, and I know that you have a doctor's appointment, MRI this morning. So we will see you this afternoon. And then Maya Nguyen, thinking about each one of you and praying for you. God bless each one of you. All right, let's take a look at this. We are going into Proverbs chapter 5, 1 through 23. Let's try that. And then Acts 27, 1 through 44 as we continue our story on what Paul was going through and all his travels and travails during this period. All right, let's see. Got that done. Let's check and see here. Kevin and Fitzgerald, morning blessings to everybody. Kevin, good morning to you. Good morning to you. Franknell, good evening to you. Pop that up there. Let's see if I can get Kevin's up there. Morning blessings to everybody. Franknell, good evening. And good morning to all that are here. Kathy Sherritts Carvajal, good morning and happy Cinco de Mayo. So tonight or this afternoon on our music show at 3 o'clock, we are going to be playing some of the bigger hits of some of those that would be celebrating Cinco de Mayo. And shared, Franknell, thank you. Diane, good morning to you. And then our Florida connection, along with Kevin. Good morning, Scott Ricard. Good morning to you. And Keith Landris, good morning to you. Glad that everyone is here. Missing our Gloria, but hopefully Gloria will be able to come on. All right, let's get her going. Let's go ahead and start with Proverbs chapter 5. Proverbs chapter 5. And it is Cinco de Mayo, Wednesday, May 5th. It's 54 degrees in beautiful San Jose. And it should get up into the mid 80s, I would think, today. And this big old fat boy turned into butter out here. We will see. The pitfalls of immorality. My son, give attention to my wisdom. Incline your ear to my understanding, that you may observe discretion and your lips may reserve knowledge. From the lips of an adulteress you're punning, for the lips of an adulteress you're punning, and smoother than oil is her speech, but in the end she is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death, her steps take hold of Sheol. She does not ponder the path of life, her ways are unstable, she does not know it. Now then, my sons, listen to me and do not depart from the words of my mouth. Keep your way far from her and do not go near the door of her house, or you will give your vigor to others and your years to the cruel one. And strangers will be filled with your strength, and your hard-earned goods will go into the house of an alien. And you groan at your final end when your flesh and your body are consumed, and you say, how I have hated instruction, and my heart spurned reproof. I have not listened to the voice of my teachers, nor inclined my ear to instruction. I was almost in utter ruin in the midst of the assembly and congregation. Drink water from your own cistern and fresh water from your own well. Should your springs become dispersed abroad, streams of waters in the streets? Let them be yours alone and not for strangers with you. Let your fountain be blessed and rejoice in the wife of your youth. As a loving hind and a graceful doe, let her breast satisfy you at all times. Be exhilarated always with her love. For why should you, my son, be exhilarated with an adulteress and embrace the bosom of a foreigner? For the ways of a man are before the eyes of the Lord, and he watches all paths. His own iniquities will capture the wicked, and he will be held with the cords of his sin. He will die for lack of instruction, and in the greatness of his folly, he will go astray. For why should you, my son, be exhilarated with an adulteress and embrace the bosom of a foreigner? For the ways of a man are before the eyes of the Lord, and he watches all his paths. His own iniquities will capture the wicked, and he will be held with the cords of his sin. He will die for lack of instruction, and the greatness of his folly will go astray. That is just a warning for everyone, but especially men, to keep the vows of your marriage, to know that you belong in one place, that your ruin is ahead should you step out of your vows. But here's the good part. We just need to listen. My son, give attention to my wisdom. Incline your ear to my understanding, that you may observe discretion and your lips may reserve knowledge. It's very simple instruction. Follow it. Follow it. Take it to heart. Understand what these words of wisdom are all about. take it to heart. It is our job as parents. It is our job as grandparents. It is our job to those that will listen to us to teach the right words, to teach the words that will leave an impact, an impact on your life, an impact on the lives of others. And let's do that. The words from Proverbs are words of wisdom for all of us, but they need to be shared. It does us no good if we keep everything into us, inside ourselves. Yes, they want us to write this on the tablet of our heart, but we also should be writing it on the tablets of our children's heart and those that are surround us that don't have the access or the understanding of what's being said and what's being read. And it took me a long time. It took me 35 years until I accepted it. Well over half of my life before I understood. Now, I had the opportunities to take advantage of it, and I walked away from it. Had the opportunities during, I can't remember exactly what it was called in our school or in our high school's campus life, and there was another program over in Antioch. But a lot of us walked away from it. I certainly did. But now, what I know now is that it needed to be coming from more than one source, and the most influential people in your lives at that time are your parents. From the time of your your childhood until you're released on your own, when you go out and make your decisions. And I decided to move to the mountains a couple of years after high school. And then it was a wild ride for 15, 17 years after that. But once I decided, you know what, there has to be a better part of life. There has to be more to life. We've got to do that. Gracias. Gracias, Kevin Fitzgerald. Paul is sent to Rome. We're turning to Acts 27. When it was decided that we would sail for Italy, they proceeded to deliver Paul and some other prisoners to a centurion of the Augustan cohort named Julius. And embarking on the Andromedan ship, which was about to sail to the regions along the coast of Asia, we put out a sea accompanied by Aristarchus at a Macedonia of Thessalonica. The next day we put on Sidon, and Julius treated Paul with consideration and allowed him to go to his friends and receive care. From there we put out to sea and sailed under the shelter of Cyprus because the winds were contrary. When we had sailed through the sea of Cilicia and Pamphylia, we landed at Myra in Lycia. There was a centurion found an Alexandrian ship sailing for Italy, and he put us aboard it. When we had sailed slowly a good many days and with difficulty had arrived off Cnidus, since the wind did not permit us to go further, we sailed under the shelter of Crete and off Salmon, and with difficulty sailing past it, came to a place called Fair Havens, near which was the city of Lasea. When considerable time had passed and the voyage was now dangerous, since even the fast was already over, Paul began to admonish them and said to them, "Men, I perceive that the voyage will certainly be with damage and great loss, not only of cargo and the ship, but also of our lives." But the centurion was more persuaded by the pilot and the captain of the ship than than by what was being said by Paul. Because the harbor was not suitable for wintering, the majority reached a decision to put out to sea from there if somehow they could reach Phoenix, a harbor in Crete, facing southwest and northwest, and spend the winter there. When a moderate south wind came up, supposing that they had attained their purpose, they weighed anchor and began sailing along Crete close inshore. But before very long, there rushed down the land a violent wind called a Eurochelio. And when the ship was caught in it, could not face the wind, we gave way to it and let ourselves be driven along, running on the shelter of a small island called Clauda. We were scarcely able to get the ship's boat under control. After they had hoisted it up, they used supporting cables in undergirding the ship, and fearing that they might run aground on the shallows of the citrus, they let down the sea anchor, and in this way let themselves be driven along. The next day, we were being violently storm tossed, they began to jettison the cargo. And on the third day, they threw the ship's tackle overboard with their own hands. Since neither sun nor stars appeared for many days, and no small storm was assailing us, from then on, all hope of our being saved was gradually abandoned. When they had gone a long time without food, then Paul stood up in their midst and said, "Men, you ought to have followed my advice and not have set sail for Crete and have incurred this damage and loss. Yet now I urge you to keep up your courage, for there will be no loss of life among you, but only of the ship. For this very night, an angel, the angel of the God to whom I belong and whom I serve, stood before me, saying, 'Do not be afraid, Paul. You must stand before Caesar, and behold, God has granted you all and all those who are sailing with you. Therefore, keep up your courage, men, for I believe God that it will turn out exactly as I have been told. But we must run aground on a certain island.' But when the 14th night came and they were being driven about in the Adriatic Sea, about midnight the sailors began to surmise that they were approaching some land. They took surroundings and found it to be 20 fathoms, and a little farther on they took another sounding and found it to be 15 fathoms. Fearing that we might run aground somewhere on the rocks, they cast 4 anchors from the stern and vanished and wished for daybreak." I'm going to read that again. Fearing that we might run aground somewhere on the rocks, they cast 4 anchors from the stern and wished for daybreak. But as the sailors were trying to escape from the ship and had let down the ship's boat into the sea on the pretense of intending to lay out anchors from the bow, Paul said to the centurion and to the soldiers, "Unless these men remain in the ship, you yourselves cannot be saved." Then the soldiers cut away the ropes of the ship's boat and let it fall away. Until the day was about to dawn, Paul was encouraging them all to take some food, saying, "Today is the 14th day that you have been constantly watching and going without eating, having taken nothing. Therefore, I encourage you to take some food, for this is for your preservation, for not a hair from your head of any of you will perish." Having said this, he took bread and gave thanks to God in the presence of all, and he broke it and began to eat. All of them were encouraged, and all of themselves also took food. All of us in the ship were 266 persons. 276 persons. When they had eaten enough, they began to lighten the ship by throwing out the wheat into the sea. When day came, they could not recognize the land, but they did observe a bay with a beach, and they resolved to drive the ship onto it if they could. And casting off the anchors, they let themselves in the sea, while at the same time they were loosening the ropes of the rudders and hoisting the foresail to the wind. They were heading for the beach. But striking a reef where two seas met, they ran the vessel aground, and the prow struck fast and remained immovable, but the stern began to be broken up by the force of the waters. The soldiers' plan was to kill the prisoners so that none of them could swim away and escape. But the centurion wanted to bring Paul safely through, kept them from their intention, and commanded those that could swim shall jump overboard first and get to land, and the rest should follow, some on planks and others on various things from the ship. And so it happened that they were all brought safely to land. Brought safely to land. So, don't know how many people have been out in the ocean and been sailing and have dealt with storms. Most of my friends and myself, in high school, I had an opportunity where my stepfather was part of some sailing teams, and we sailed in the bay and then out through the Golden Gate as part of a course in some of the sailing races. And the waters can get choppy, but the waters are not choppy like you get in the open ocean, especially when a storm's coming on. Just like today, and I was thinking this was strange as I was reading through here and thinking about one of my friends the other day posted on Facebook, "Hey, don't be a rookie. We are in hurricane and tornado season. Don't be a rookie. Always go to sleep with some clothes on. Don't be a rookie because the storms are coming." And then sure enough, I saw that tornadoes had ripped through parts of Texas and a couple other states yesterday. And some of the people, their homes were damaged, roofs were torn off, businesses were ruined, trees were thrown about. Well, those same things go out in the ocean, and they happen in the ocean. And when you're sailing, that's when things can get mighty crazy. Even back then, they knew exactly when those seasons were going to start. They had a set date. They had set dates that this season would happen. They knew that. Nothing has changed over the millenniums. They knew that the storms were coming. So Paul was saying, do not set out this way. Let's take this other path. But the captain knew better. Or did he? And because of God, Jesus, Paul was told that everyone will be safe. Do what I'm telling you. Not one person will be harmed. You are going to go to meet Caesar. Let your crew know. Let the centurion know. Let the head of the ship, the captain, know. This is what's going to happen. This is what we want to happen. And it will. So we're going to learn more about the story as Paul and all of the people on that ship land in Malta and the treatment that they got there on their way to Rome. Wishing everyone a wonderful day. You have an opportunity to give somebody a hand, give them a hand. Somebody has been on your heart, reach out to them. Reach out to them. If there is somebody that you know would love to hear from you, give them a call. There's nothing tough about that. Kevin M. Fitzgerald, gracias, amigo. Lona Ferguson, good morning to you. Glad that you are here, Lona. And then Gloria Brown, glad that you are here. Glad to see you and good morning. Have a wonderful day. If you'd like to share this out, We'd love that. Enjoy it. And God bless. God bless us all and be safe. Those no better words to finish that with. Have an awesome day. God bless. Look forward to seeing you again tomorrow.